Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and everyone online too. We're very lucky to be here at the Bandy Center today. This is Mr. Brian Hillard, who is the interim director here, and he is over our records and is going to talk to us today about record keeping for our chapter and how it's done here at the Bandy Center and how we can interact with them so that when we start researching different Cherokee people or Creek people or either different fort sites, how we can contact them, talk with them, and access what we may already have and how to actually submit new records to the Bandy Center. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, and welcome to the Bandy Center. As Sharon said, my name is Brian Hilliard. I'm the interim director here. And the Bandy Center was established in 2008 with a grant from Mr. Jack Bandy, who was one of the pioneers of the local Dalton carpet industry. In 1956, he and two other gentlemen, Bud Saratine and Guy Henley, founded Coronet Industries, which was became one of the big three as far as the carpet industry. In fact, in the early 60s, Coronet Carpets was the first carpet manufacturer to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And Mr. Bandy came from a family that knew how to do two things. They knew how to make money, and they knew how to give it away. Parents, BJ and Dixie Bandy, were renowned to the area for their philanthropy. Mrs. Bandy, she was one of the founders of the Whitfield Murray Historical Society. She was instrumental in the restoration of the Van House in Chatsworth. She was also involved in the establishment of the local hospital. Mr. Bandy was involved in every charitable organization you could think of. So Jack came from a great pedigree of knowing what to do with money to benefit the people of this area. And in 2008, Mr. Bandy approached the college. He wanted to establish something that would help preserve the history of this region, carpet industry, and primarily, that was his interest, the carpet industry. But he also wanted to preserve the history and culture of the Northwest Georgia area, because it meant so much to him. And so the Bandy Center was established then. Our first director was Dr. John Fowler. And in our first incarnation, we were heavily involved in, I guess you would call it, community outreach. We did a lot of lecture series on different topics of Northwest Georgia history and culture. We did traveling exhibits that went throughout the state, talking about different aspects of Northwest Georgia. And he left the Bandy Center in 2017, 2018. Adam Ware was brought on as the next director, and he really kind of changed our focus. We stopped doing the lecture series and the traveling exhibits and went more towards archival collection and preservation. In fact, our mission now is to collect, preserve, and interpret the material history of Northwest Georgia. When we say Northwest Georgia, we mean a 7-county area that includes Murray, Whitfield, Catoosa, Dade, Gordon, Chattooga, and Walker counties. That's our collection area. And in order to preserve that history, we take in photographs, documents, objects, and oral history. Those are our 4 main collecting areas. In 2014, I think is when we first took in some items from the Georgia Trails Heritage Association. And then we, over the years, Linda added new things to us. And this right here, this collection of boxes and these folded here, this is the Trail of Tears organization collection. In front of each of you, you'll find a finding guide, which describes everything that we have here, the things identified by their box number and their file number, which is inside the box. And then we have loose items, which are maps, newspaper articles, and such. The collection process, it was easy collecting and processing from the Trail of Tears organization, because when we received the items, they were already in order. They were already in folders. They were described. There were names attached to them. A lot of times we get collections from people in garbage bags. And but it was a pleasure getting Trail of Tears organization, because we didn't have to do any real lot of work other than putting it into our organizational process. So as you can see on the finding guide, the first part of the collection is the Charles Walker collection. And then it gets more into the actual Trail of Tears organization document. Like we have our interns and assistants who work with us. We sit down with them and train them to take this pile of documents, photographs, and put them in a sensible, logical order, classifying them by just what they are, their historical context, geographical context. And that's how we determined the individual boxes and folders as where everything should go. And everything is given an accession number. Every document can be pulled up just by using that guide. Collection is given a accession number. The accession number is set by the first four numbers are the year in which we processed the collection. The second two numbers are the sequence which that collection came into us. And then the other four numbers, that's the sequence within that program, within that accession. So it makes it very easy to find individual items. The room we're in right now, this is our, what we call our reading room. This is where people who want to do original research can come in here by appointment. They can tell us what kind of collection they're looking for. We can give them a finding guide. We have a finding guide for every collection that we have in our system. So they can look through that and find what they're looking for. We pull it from the archive. They can view it here. Nothing leaves here. Once it comes in here, nothing leaves. And that's one thing we always try to stress to people who are reluctant about turning over items to us. The Bandy Center doesn't own anything. Your collection doesn't belong to us. We're just the caretakers of it. Whenever something is signed over to us on a deed of gift, it becomes the property of the state of Georgia. So it cannot be destroyed. It cannot be thrown away. It cannot be sold. It's here forever. So it's always properly maintained and controlled. And we'll see as we go through a little tour of the area. I can show you where we do that kind of work and where everything ends up. But anyway, we're also in the process of putting our entire collection online. We work with a software program called Past Perfect, which allows us to put every photograph, every document, photographs of every object, and our oral histories are all online. That is still a couple of months away. We are redesigning our website. We have to wait till that's done until we can set up Past Perfect, because the Past Perfect program is supposed to mirror the look of our website. So we can't do one until the other one's finished. But that hopefully by the end of this semester, that should be ready to go. And so if you're in Dade County, or if you're in Chattooga County, or even Calhoun, and you want to know what we might have in a particular area, you don't have to come up here and ask us, well, do you have anything on this subject? What do you have on this? You can just view our collection online and say, okay, come up here. I want to look at this accession number, these files, these photographs, these objects. You just pull them. It's a very simple process. And so all of your documents are available for any type of researcher, whether it's, we have had students doing term papers for classes. They come in here, they've looked at some of the Trail of Tears things in the past. It's available for any historian working for Northwest Georgia, genealogists, a lot of genealogists who want to access our records, not just Trail of Tears, but everything we have. We collect history, every type of history you can think of. whether it's military history, cultural history, education, religious, business, financial, cultural. We collect from institutions like the Trail of Tears, Dalton Utilities, Garden Club, yeah, churches, individual families, military records. We are the repository for the 6th Cavalry Museum of Fort Oglethorpe. They've dissolved the organization. They're folding their collection into a larger Catoosa County Welcome Center with their objects, but they didn't have anywhere to put their photographs and documents. So they turned them over to us, and it's still an ongoing process for them. That's really one of our larger collections. The local Creative Arts Guild, they turned over their 50-year collection of photographs and documents to us. And I hope no one from the Creative Arts Guild hears this, but that's the difference between their collection, Trail of Tears. When we got the Creative Arts Guild's collection, it came to us in plastic tubs, about 10,000 individual photographs covering 50 years. Of those 10,000 photographs, maybe 500 had dates or names or contacts. And so we're still working on that. So that's why, thank you, Trail of Tears Association, for all your help in helping us process your collection. Like I say, it's not a complicated process. It's a time-consuming process. We work with a lot of student interns who try real hard. We've been very lucky in some of the student interns we've had here. Currently, we have a 2-person staff here right now. In addition to me, we have a young lady who's a former student, Erica Perez, who is taking online courses in museum studies at the University of Oklahoma, and she works here full-time as the assistant collections director. So she's doing a lot of the work alongside me with all of our different programs or all different collections, getting them into the Past Perfect system. So, like I said, your collection, if you looked on the finding guide, if there's anything, file that you're interested in, all you'd have to do is just tell me what box, what file, and I can pull it. And anyone, like I say, anyone who comes in doing research has access to that. So like I said, nothing leaves here. You can't borrow anything, take it out. So it's always going to be here, preserved and protected. Sharon, was there any in particular area you wanted me to cover?
Mostly, if someone wants to come, what would be the process, basically, for if they want to come and look at?
They just contact me and make an appointment. So
Okay.
they can contact. I can give you my card that has my email and phone numbers on it. We are open from 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, and 8 to 12 on Fridays. And I'm usually always here. I even eat my lunch at my desk. So I'm here all day during the day. So yeah, just contact me and just set up an appointment for what day and time you want to be here, and they have access to everything we have.
I want to just say that I'm so excited to know all of this. I mean, I think you all might have referenced all of this information, but I have no idea. I see stuff in here that I'm going to get my hands on, Richard Taylor. So I just think it's awesome.
Thank you. Yes.
In regards to the Past Perfect programs, that's a database. Are you scanning, typing, or all of the however it needs to go in? How does that process work?
Well, I'm gonna take y'all on a little tour here in a few minutes, and all that work takes place on these computer terminals. And I can turn the program in, and I can show you exactly what Past Perfect looks like.
And it is connected. It does have to be connected to the website.
Well, it doesn't have to be connected to the website. It's just easier for us because there will be a link from the website to the Past Perfect, but you don't.
Doing the work in advance to make it.
Yeah, but once it all is all set up, you can just go to Bandy Center /Past Perfect, and it'll bring up the same thing. But if you're on our website, just click a link and go directly to it.
Ryan, just
one little correction.
Okay,
We actually brought our first boxes here in 2011.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
Well,
but 2014 is when we
Yeah.
made the Bandy the permanent
Yeah,
depository. But we had already started bringing stuff. And then the other question I had was, maybe if you answered this, I apologize. So all these have these FF numbers,
yeah, that's file folder.
okay, but they don't have the same kind of number as the other things with the year and the accession. The ones on the back have the
Well,
accession.
those are not contained in these boxes. Those are loose files right here. They're kept.
The FF ones,
No, all these boxes here are the file for the FF one. If it doesn't have an FF in front of it, then it's either kept in a separate box by itself, or it's in a folder, just like a map or photograph or large size document that won't fit on the box. So,
okay,
but
so we
if
would
you-
either give you the FF number if we
Or
wanted.
that full accession number. See, all of those the boxes are all under one accession number. 2019 00.
Yeah.
Either the.
2019 014 0001. That covers all of the documents that are in these file folders. If it doesn't, if it's different, the last four numbers are different than 001, then that's held in a different box. This is 06, 07, 08. These are the individual ones that are on the last page.
Okay, well, I guess I'm dense because I'm still confused. So what about the stuff that we brought? I mean, I brought stuff in other years other than 2019.
Well, when Adam came on, we had, we had the original 2011, and we had the 2014. Then we had two things from 2019, and a lot of that hadn't really been processed yet. So Adam decided that, well, we'll just set up a new accession number and include all of the old stuff and the new stuff into 2019. So everything that you've given to us in the past is under 2019 policy. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So the number 2019 is the year.
Mhm.
The last four numbers is the document. What are the middle three?
Those are what sequence it came to us in that year.
Would Bandy have a problem if we, put like information on the TOTA's website about, like the collections that you have and, information about how to contact you?
Oh, please do.
We could just put it.
just tell me where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this
Yeah.
The
list
there.
on the website already?
Well, it's, no, not, it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Once past perfect is
yeah,
like,
what past.
so I'm assuming what's sitting right there, potentially not the loose, but what's sitting right there is scan, catalog,
Right,
and
yeah.
in past perfect.
Right,
But past perfect right now is a
Standing.
standalone
right, yeah,
system.
Yeah.
Yet to be put to the web edition, which is will allow you to actually make the information public
Yeah.
outside the confines of
Yeah.
this network.
yeah. Once we go into pastor, we can pull up Trail Tiers Association, and it'll show everything that we have processed as far as all the documents. It'll list everything that's on that finding guide. That finding guide comes exact right off of the Past Perfect website.
Yeah.
Or accession for the Trail Tiers Association.
I was thinking that we could also put like the hours that we visit it
Right.
until it gets, live
Yeah.
on that webpage.
Sure.
So, and just say that that's coming in the future and you'll be able to
Yeah,
access.
I'm hoping it's all done before the end of the semester, which is like the first part of May.
Oh, wow.
And how long have you been? How long has it taken?
Well, we first redesigned the website over a year ago. The company that's working on it for us, they've been having problems moving information from our old website to the new website. They've had to rebuild a lot of connections so that the new website will be ready to go live. Once again, they've told me, well, in another couple of weeks, it should be ready to go. So I can't hold them to that, but we'll see. But hopefully, before the end of the semester, everything will be done and everything will be ready to be accessed online.
Brian, one more thing
Yeah.
that I think everybody needs to know is if you are bringing any of your own stuff, documents to the Bandy, would be nice if when you bring them, you try and, if they can fit in any of these categories, put that on your folder or however you bring it.
Yeah.
That saves the Bandy work deciding where on earth, you know.
Yeah, the more information you can provide on the items themselves, the easier it is for us to classify them and decide where they should go in the sequence, whether they should go in one of the existing files, or if we need to create a brand new file for that new information.
That was one of the questions I had is, if someone is coming in and they want to give, some of the copies or the chapter wants to give copies of what we're sending to the National Park Service. Do you have, a docket, sign-in sheet? I mean, like my record system
Oh, yeah,
at EPA has like.
Yeah, anyone that comes in and
information you have to
anyone
put
that comes in and accesses the collection has to sign in, tell us, why they're there, the dates, and what they're looking for. It's
Fill
just
out a
part
form
of
and
it.
become a member of the trail tier.
Yes, but I was just thinking, if we have teams working in each county and they have documented, a particular family or person and they need to send it a copy to you, do you have, like a shorthand, like, information sheet that they can fill out a form and send it to you?
No, we don't have anything. They can just, they want to send it to me, by email or transfer file through. We use a protocol, we transfer for large files. We do that, or they can just bring it to me physically.
If we wanted to create a document, that helps you, file or like set up an organization so that our chapter can find things easily, could you look at it and see if you can agree with it and like
Sure.
figure out if it's
Yeah,
okay?
we can
And then we can
incorporate
give
that
it to
into,
our people.
yeah, we can incorporate that into our current system. Like I say, we're a two-person staff. I'll take help, any kind of help you want to give me.
Yeah, because I'm not sure what you would get
Yeah.
from everybody that's
Yeah.
doing research, especially since, they're kind of on their own a lot. And, if we had like a form
Right,
that says, okay, this is on the Adair family.
Sure.
And blah, blah, this date, this is
Like,
where
yeah.
it came
but
from.
yeah, that information would help
Yes.
Erica and I determine where it goes in the current collection or whether it needs to go at the, under the same accession number, and just change those last 4 digits instead of a new file for those items.
Yeah, I think that is something that we can create because, we can even pull some of it from the National Park Services form, about how they're looking at record keeping, so that ours is kind of equivalent.
Yeah.
So we can find it. That would be a simple form that we can, and even it could be an online form or fill it out by hand.
Yeah, we could do it Microsoft form and if they
Yeah.
want to fill it out, they can print it, fill it out.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to point out about the collection, normally if people like, this doesn't apply to students, but if independent historians or researchers come in and access, we do charge for copies. But members of your organization, anyone that donates anything to us or is just a member of your organization, you're entitled to free scans, high resolution scans or copies in as many numbers as you want forever. So, your access to our collection is free of charge. But if someone, researchers writing a book on Northwest Georgia, and they want to make copies of maps, well, yeah, we're going to charge them for that. But Trail Tier members or donors, anything we have, you have free access to.
So you ask for membership cards, I mean, how are you going to know?
I trust all of you. I trust all of you. And if someone says they're a member of the association or they know you, Linda or Sharon or Leslie,
Yeah, that's what you could ask.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah,
That's good enough for me.
President.
Yeah.
Ron, what about electronic documents? Have you already talked about that on your archive electronic documents?
Well, if we get documents, then we really prefer original documents. But if a electronic document or a copy or a scan, it's all that exists, then yeah, we'll take it and we'll put it on we'll make a copy of a physical copy of it, put it in a file, and then we'll have a digital copy on the Past Perfect database as well.
Quick, out of the box, question. So like everything that's ancient historical, I wouldn't worry about, but I'm just thinking if there's something that's living history today, do we need any type of privacy waiver or anything? Because once it hits the website, GDPR and the other privacy laws will apply to it. And like, I would just want somebody's consent that, yes, you can post my picture on your website. So is that something maybe we would just add to the form, or is that something that you normally have a form
Well,
for? Or is it
don't-
because you normally have things that are like everybody's passed away that's in these pictures, so they couldn't?
Well, what we try to tell people, especially when they're donating like family documents, we tell them, once you turn it over to us, once you sign that deed of gift, then you're basically giving up your right to tell us what to do with it. We can make it.
So can we
make
get
it-
a copy of that verbiage just to add to our form, so
Well,
that
what
as people are bringing these documents in, that we're covered?
We can do that, but having said that, we're not here to try to like gotcha on anybody.
Right.
If there are, this goes back to one of our earlier collections. There was a lady who used to be the librarian here, and she donated letters and cards and Valentines from her uncle. And including in these were letters between her uncle and his girlfriend when he was in the Army. After we had those for a while, she came to us and said, can I have some of those letters back? Because there's things in there we don't necessarily want. And because they really missed each other. When he was in the Army. And we had to tell Lydia, well, we really can't because you deeded over to us, but those items, we'll hold those aside because that's really nobody's business. That's not, someone doing research doesn't need to know that. So we exercise some discretion as to what we let people actually see.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
So
make
it-
certain we're covered from a privacy law standpoint, that if we're getting people to send stuff to you, that they understand that,
Right, yeah,
there's
once
that
it
right. yeah.
comes into our collection, there's no right to privacy because it's basically
They
public
sign it as a
domain.
donation, it's
Yeah.
kind of a
So we need to
waiver
put
of that.
blurb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want that blurb.
If someone has
Yeah, whatever that blurb
something
is.
that's not sure that they want,
Yeah,
just don't give it to us.
Right.
Right?
yeah.
If you give
But
it to us-
people might not, like, a lot of people might not think it through that,
Sure,
oh,
yeah.
you know, a million people
Yeah.
could search and find this information, and then they'll see Uncle Bob getting drunk or something.
Yeah.
There are certain arrangements, other archives, like Mercer, they have it where, Robert Gardner, his estate, I had inquired for, a long unpublished manuscript that he had on the Cherokee Baptist College. And I had an inquiry down there and, it had clear permission from his daughter, who's part of his estate.
Yeah.
So there are certain arrangements that archives can make whereby well, I guess, I don't know, that means she's the copyright holder, can release that. So there are certain ways in which things can be
Yeah,
negotiated.
yeah, copyright. and
Yeah.
Archives
are
and other
totally-
things.
Yeah.
Totally different item.
And even certain provisional clauses can be added, but those are all things that we'd have to look at, someone like Ryan or
Yeah,
the next executive director.
We've
or
never
someone
really
like
had
that.
that situation come up, so it's just something that we can just evolve and work something out.
and I think
Take
if
it on
there's
case by
just
case
that
basis.
verbiage on the
Yeah.
form, so people are aware that if they're submitting, that their submission is implied consent
Right.
to whatever the verbiage is.
There are standardized policies already there. There are plenty of monographs, of papers and documents that people can draw on in all kinds of situations. and policies that they can pull on, which can help negotiate that kind of sensitive content.
Like, they'll just sign something that says this portion cannot be open for 20 years.
Yes, right.
And
Yeah.
then that makes them more likely to.
Like I said, we've never been faced with situations like this before, so we can do that on a case by case basis. If someone
Right.
comes and says, well, I've got these items that I don't necessarily want out, then we can change the wording on the deed of gift to reflect what they have. You know, if you don't want everybody to know grandma's recipe for potato salad, just, either don't give it to us or tell us we don't want everybody, I don't want my sister to know about this. Because I always bring potato salad at the family reunion, and I don't want her making it. Which is a situation that Adam ran into when he was out at the Orange County Historical Society in Orlando, Florida. 3 sisters who had been arguing for years about turning things into the historical society. One of them had the recipe for grandma's potato salad, and she didn't want the others to know about it.
So these boxes are all acid free, right?
Right, yes. Yeah, we follow all Smithsonian Institute, American Museum Association for State and Local History, all the membership, all the committees that we're part of. Yeah, we follow all of their preservation policies.
And just to let everyone know, especially those who are online, if they don't know already, the Georgia Archives is a historical collections grant, which can give you up to, I think, maybe $5,000 worth of materials like these. We just got one at the Chieftain's Museum. And you just have to submit it and just, provide, 10%, which is if you're getting $2,500, you put $250 down and they'll give you the rest. You just have to fill out the grant and they'll come and bid the big old
Fill out the grant.
Yeah, really, that's all you do.
I've done that. There's a tin.
Right. I think it's the Historical Collections Grant with Georgia Archives, if I'm not mistaken, and they'll just come with a big truck and they'll drop a pallet off, and then, like they literally did with us, it was like, well, that's a very large truck, how much are we actually getting? So it's like a semi, so, but, no, they dropped in the pallet, and, we have all these wonderful brand new collections, great archival, probably from Gaylord Archival. So, yeah, so that's a great way to get, funding, especially if you're a cash-strapped institution. Another one, no, this is not excessive preservation wise, but Georgia Humanities has some really excellent grants as well, with programming and other things like that.
We've gotten the Georgia Humanities grant for the Trail of Tears.
Right,
Association,
exactly.
and some of the things that we've done. I got the Georgia Archives grants for the museum in Elgin, Tabor House Civil War Museum, which, by the way, is made up of about 7 other museums at this point in time because they've closed. And we've got their leftovers, but yeah, I got a $4,000 grant to go get archival materials.
Are there any areas that I didn't cover that,
I was gonna ask one other question.
Yeah.
The University of Georgia Special Collections, they're all online too.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, is yours going to be linked to theirs through any like website that puts all those collections together? Is there?
There's the Digital Library of Georgia, which is a state institution you guys can definitely opt into. Once again, there's a sub-grant that's up to $5,000 where you can apply for that and actually get the materials from your collection digitized. So like I said, once again, it's just another grant process that you have to go through by a deadline. Actually, both, I think the grant, that grant is actually open right now for Digital Libraries of Georgia. So you can definitely get that filled out, and they'll, as long as you win, like I said, you can send those off to Harvard Library, which is UVA's Spare Books Manuscripts Library. And now what they do is they do up to $5,000 worth of kind of services in kind and digitization services. And then eventually those things can be added to something like Galileo and Digital Library of Georgia. So,
but just to answer your question, we have not made any plans on that, we've not really explored it, but it's, in fact, until you mentioned, I wasn't really aware of that, but now that you mentioned it, I plan to see it in my mind, so that's something that I can follow up on. Thank you.
Do you have to turn stuff away?
We have in the past, people will bring us things, they'll clean out the attic and bring us things. We concentrate on Northwest Georgia. So we get things that don't necessarily fall, they're really interesting stuff, but doesn't fall into our collecting area. So unless it's a specific collection of documents or objects people are giving to us, rather than just signing it over to us with a deed of gift, we'll have them sign a temporary custody record, which gives us time to look through the collection. And when we come back to them, I'm telling them that we will look through all this. Anything that pertains to Northwest Georgia and our mission, we will keep. If there are things, documents, objects, photographs that don't fit into our collection, you have three options. One, we can try to find some other institution in the area that might take them. We can just return them to you, or we can throw them away for you. But we have to have their permission, because it's not, like I said earlier, when something comes into our possession, it can't be thrown away or destroyed or anything like that. It's not deeded to us yet. We have the freedom to say, we don't really need these items. You can take them back, or like say, got a dumpster out back. If you don't want them back, we don't have room for them. They don't fit anywhere else. No one else wants them. We can get rid of them for you. And a lot of it, we have a local man who his family was involved in construction businesses and downtown business, the local Hotel Dalton. You know, they've been here for 120 years. He's brought us stuff in before, and we tell him, okay, well, Bill, you know, as we said before, we'll look through this and see what we can use. And he's like, hey, no, hey, you know, it's yours. It ain't coming back with me. You don't want it, order it. You know, my wife told me to get rid of it. It's not coming back to the house. So on a lot of his stuff, he didn't even find the paper. He just, no, it's yours. He's gone. He didn't want it. So we've looked through the stuff, and there's a lot of it that we did keep, and a lot of, well, okay, Bill, it's going. But like I said, we have to have the donor's permission to do that, and that's before it's actually signed over to us. Yeah. Well, if that concludes this portion of the, I can, like I said, I can take a little tour of the area and show you where we do things and look.
Just want to check with Leslie, should we do the business meeting before the tour? Since we're saying we're gonna lose them.
Yeah.
I prefer the tour.
Yeah.
Oh,
let's do the
okay.
tour first.
All right. Okay.
So,
Well, please, everybody stick around for the business meeting.
It's only a 15 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so I carry this, stay there, okay.
So you're gonna carry your phone.
Yeah.
Right here. And I've got your laptop.
You need
can
me to
have
carry
fun.
something?
Oh. I think I'm good. I'm just gonna carry it just like this, and everybody online realize this is gonna be a little shaky, cause,
Little seasick.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is not a Six Flags ride, but I will do my best to make it look that way.
Would you like us to follow you that way?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, close the legs.
What do you mean close the way?
I think you just put them together.
That's. Okay. All right, how's the picture?
It looks fine.
Okay.
Right now, it's fine.
Okay,
I get the wires.
It's gonna take a minute for the past perfect program to come up.
okay,
You want everybody to stand over there, right?
yeah,
Okay.
they can,
Pass in front of
yeah, that's fine.
All right.
I'll do this.
Just out of common sense. That's what I'm agreeing with you.
It's gonna take just a minute for the past perfect program to come up, so. We're here. Well, I said, this is the reading room in here where we were. This is the collection processing room. This is where the actual work takes place when the
Right,
collections come
absolutely.
into us. These are some collections that Erica and I are working on right now. It's like our we got scheduled to work on. And this is an example of a collection that came into us. Came to us in their own box. They have everything, file folders, they have a box inside, and they included a list of everything they have in here to help us identify it. So like I say, sometimes we get them like this, sometimes we get them drilled here, sometimes we get them in garbage bags. And that's where the freezer comes in. Because a lot of times, we don't know where these things have been. We don't know how long they've been in the barn or in the basement. Could have mold, could have mildew, could have ants,
Yeah.
lizards, who knows? So anything that we suspect that might contaminate, the collection, put them in the freezer for 60 days. It, halts any mold or mildew, growth, kills any critters that might be in there. Then we can take them out, clean them, and then they're safe to go into the archive. But, yeah, there's a couple books in there right now from Dalton Utility, their original ledger books from like 1899.
Oh, wow.
So when they first connected water to the city. Has a list of the first, customers of Dalton Utilities. And then we've got their photograph collection, their rug photographs,
No nitrate photographs, right?
this is just a person, this is a local man who was a door gunner in a Huey helicopter in Vietnam. It's his interview we did with him, his scrapbook, other book, photograph, personal radio that he listened to in his bunker. Yeah. My favorite thing in the archive is the American flag. Two ladies who lived over in Chatsworth. I can't give the names up, we're not allowed to give names out. Anyway, their father served on a sub chaser in the Mediterranean in World War II. Well, by 1944, the German submarine fleet was at the bottom of the Mediterranean, and so they weren't needed anymore. And so the crew was transferred to the Pacific. And the Navy sold the ship that they're on to the French. Well, their father, who went to Dalton High, took French in high school. He's the only man on the entire ship who spoke French or could understand French. So he had to stay on the boat for another 6 months while the rest of his crewmates went to the Pacific and explain to the French crewmen what all the signs meant, how the ship worked, how to turn it on, turn it off, all the technical details of the ship. So when his term was completed, they lowered the American flag, raised the French flag on the ship. They gave him the American flag from that ship. And no one said that every year on the 4th of July and Memorial Day, take that flag out, put it up on their front porch, keep it, and take it back down, put it back in the store. So that's one of my
See,
favorite.
it's a testament to who was teaching French in Dalton at that point. That is quite impressive.
They were teaching Latin at Dalton High.
Oh, yeah, no, but you know what? I took French
Yeah.
in Cobb County. And, the last person I can understand as I step off the plane in France is the Delta stewardess who sounds with her southern accent like my old French teacher, right? But somebody in Dalton was doing,
Yes,
maybe he's just smarter than me.
I mentioned creative art field earlier. Of those 10,000 photographs, Adam and I went through the whole collection. We picked up about 1,200 photographs that we think are representative of the time period. We thought was the most interesting, I think, but like I said, they have no name on them. So sometime this summer, I'm going to invite some people from the Creative Arts Guild just to sit down, come in here, we'll get them lunch, put put photographs and a stack of Post-it notes and just say,
Yeah,
identify anybody or anything you see in here.
Yeah.
And then we
that's good.
can.
I was gonna ask if you use the groups to help y'all, that's wonderful, yes.
Got a few things from, the synagogue, which I don't know if y'all heard the story about why we have things from the synagogue in here. Everybody hear that story? The synagogue in Dalton, after, it finally closed 15 years ago, maybe or so. Mr. Sabat, you might know some details on that.
Well, Dalton had a sizable Jewish
Yeah,
community
yeah.
with the carpet industry. A lot of folks, for instance, Bud Sirity
Right, yeah.
was a buyer for New York department store and came down here and said, this is a potential gold
Yeah.
mine. So it actually, for a city of the size, had a very large Jewish community. I'm disappointed that the Jewish community, a lot of folks moved away.
Right.
There's a temple in Chattanooga where they go. But I was disappointed about the synagogue being closed because if it had remained open, I'm certain that Dalton would be the smallest city in the United States with Christian churches, synagogue, and a mosque.
Our understanding is that they're going to turn the building site into like reflection part. But anyway, so we had received some of their smaller items in the past, their prayer shawl and their shofars and things like that. Well, when they were gutting the building, they had the ark, the trees of life doors to it, bima, and all the walls around it, and they didn't have anywhere to put them. And so they donated them to us, and we don't really have anywhere to put them right now. Adam, Ware and I went over there one day thinking we were just gonna get the pulpit, the beam right there. So we were sitting on Dalton State van, and there's a city of Dalton trailer there with all these walls on. The guy said, well, where do you want them? So they just brought them back over here to the Bandy Center. That's where they're sitting. We're hoping with the new director coming in that we'll be able to get larger storage space so we can clean out our 3 storage units on the north bypass and put everything in a climate controlled, humidity controlled building with a loading dock. You have no
It's the
idea
little things.
how much I want a loading dock.
I thought maybe I would tie things up. We just talked about the synagogue, but Brian has mentioned Creative Arts Guild. Creative Arts Guild came in 1963, and primarily the impetus for that was there was the Jewish community and a lot of these Jewish wives and women from New York were used to a more active cultural scene in New York. So that's why the Creative Arts Guild was created, was instituted here.
Bernice Spiegel.
And it is, I mean, it really, it's an institution that the city of this size should not have. It's because of those Jewish newcomers here.
I believe it's the oldest one in the state of Georgia.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And it certainly, it not just serves Northwest Georgia, but also Southeast Tennessee.
Yeah. And this show right here is the show they used in the groundbreaking for their new building with their Wall Street. Well, now this is the past perfect system I was mentioning. This is where all the information goes into. Now, this is not what the site, this is just the working site. This is not what it will look like when it goes live. But it's divided into objects, photos, archives, and our own personal library. And like, and we can look it up several different ways, either by the name, by the accession number. If I just go collection, the Georgia Trail here. Okay, this shows what we have set up for the association. You've got container lists. This lists all the items that we have already processed into the collection, but we've set up, when we set up information in here, we put in the names of all the people that might be listed in the documents, keywords to help people search. So someone's going to put in Cherokee, and they're going to get, Trail Tier Association's accession number is going to come up, as well as anything else that we might have in the collection related to Cherokee or Native American or Probably even, Pickens County or something like that. Because, when we did, Dr. Walker's collection, it's such widespread, there's a lot of keywords in there, and people are gonna bring up Trail of Tears. They might seem rather random words, but they're connected in some way to his collection, so we can bring them up that way. So this is what I do mostly all day, sit here, putting things in, photographs, personal photographs. We have about 1,200 from the 6th Cavalry Museum. We got over 1,800 from the Carpet Bug Institute, 2,000 from the 6th Cavalry. From the 6th Cavalry Museum. So it's a pretty. I think we have right now about 300,000 individual photographs, documents, and objects already in the system. So,
Great work.
and like I said, this is where Eric and I do the work. This is an example of all these shelves right here, Walker County Historical stuff.
Oh.
And they just keep bringing us stuff. And so we get started on it and they bring us more. And we have to stop where we're at and add more into it. But eventually, Eric and I will get all this done.
David Ball.
David Ball, yeah, former professor here.
Oh, yes, that's right.
These boxes right here are also related to the 6th Cavalry Museum. We got all their major documents. What these are, back in the 20s and 30s, Fort Oglethorpe served as a detention center for soldiers who were AWOL, drunk on duty. These are their arrest records. Arrest and release records. Well, this guy, he was found, he's been missing for 3 days. What we found, he's in Chattanooga drunk on Broad Street.
How far back does that go?
Yeah.
How far back does the Fort Oglethorpe?
Well, the 6th Cavalry has been associated with Fort Oglethorpe since like 1890. So that's when our collection starts, up until the end of World War II. When after World War II, they were transferred from Fort Oglethorpe to Fort Knox, Kentucky. So our collection here, covers them from 1890 up to through World War II. We
I
have,
only ask because I have a family member who in the 1860s would have been in the file. So I'm wondering where the early files are.
yeah, we have documents from the 1860s. But that was before the 6th Cavalry was actually built before Fort Oglethorpe itself. But yeah, we have information on the 6th Cavalry in the Civil War. Our collection, as far as photographs, kind of begins with Spanish American. We have photographed 6th Cavalry troopers being transferred from Tampa, getting on the boat, going from Tampa to Cuba.
Any POW records of German prisoners that you guys make?
We have some photographs, but Fort Oglethorpe, from my understanding, wasn't a big detention center for prisoners as much as it was a transport center. They were there for a few days before they were assigned to different camps. Right. Okay, like I said, this is the collections room. We can walk it all. I know y'all are perfect. I'll speed things up in this point. Now, a lot of people think that we're a museum. We're not a museum, we're an archive. And people come in, a lot of people just walk in and go, hey, can we look at your stuff? I said, well, that's not really how it works, but how can I help you? But what we've done here, we've just taken some things out of our collection and put them in, just kind of give people an idea of the things we do collect and what we want more of. We've got all these photographs from different collections. This photograph collection is from the Emory Street School, which was the African-American elementary and high school in Dalton before segregation. This gentleman who graduated in 1949, he had a scrapbook that somehow found its way to a collector in Grand Island, Nebraska. And I had him contacted and said, can we don't normally buy things. We're donation based, but this was a view of y'all that no one had ever seen, so he bought this. But what the guy did, he cut all the individual pictures out, he's gonna sell them.
Oh.
So that's why they're not in scrapbook. But it's a, and this one thing, we have, college students here, have no idea of segregation, what it means, what it meant. And what I always try to point out, is you look at these high school kids, what do they look like? They look like a bunch of kids in high school, out on the playground, fighting with your buddy, standing next to a pretty girl, just like the white kid did. And they don't have any frame of reference. But these other cases are different things, urban industry things, local high schools. This is all Walton County. Most people think that Walton City, like Minnesota, are in Chattanooga. They're not. They're in Georgia.
Right before you said it
Yeah.
about traffic.
Yeah. And
Your information.
like, this is the intake records, the intake record from the Walker County Alms House. The poorhouse. You're indigent, you couldn't pay your bills, you're sick,
Yeah.
crazy, whatever, they sent you there. And they kept you there until a family member would take you in, or
So you died.
yeah, or they transferred you to Milledgeville. There's an entry in there from like 1933, woman and 4 children came in there, and they were there for like a year. And then it said, reason for leaving, husband found a job. And I'm thinking, that's a novel right there. That's one line of information. Yeah. And then we have, the reason for leaving, just got tired and left. Couldn't take it here anymore. I'm leaving. Photograph from, and these are 2 of my favorite photographs in the entire. This one right here was taken in a bedspread factory, spread house, which was hot and dirty, and you got lint all over you. It's just a miserable place to work. But this had to be picture day. Oh, she wore a dress. I don't think she dressed like that every day. And this is a photograph of the dye house, which, if you're not familiar with the dye house, it's where the dye carpet, these bags are full of chemicals and dyes and boiling water, and standing there washing my face. I did this job for 2 weeks when I got out of high school. Got my first paycheck and said, I'm going to college. This is not my future. So yeah, this is an inspirational photograph for me. Now, like I said, once something comes in through here, goes through the process, collated, boxed up, whatever. This is where everything ends up. This is what sets us apart from everything else in there. We are, to my knowledge, we are the only facility between Chattanooga and Atlanta that has a humidity and climate controlled archive. This room is set at 65 degrees, 45% humidity, which are, y'all come on in, which are ideal conditions for insulation. You just walk on that, this picks up the, picks up the.
Yeah.
Final resting place that comes to the system.
Wow.
These files right here are photo archives. They're
Smaller.
Photograph file,
Wow.
which you would find at purchase. Have section number here, I'm came in, which number in the condition, cavalry. So if you're find this photograph online, you want to look at the other photographs, the session number. This-
Yes, and we even put them in plastic.
Yeah.
That's how we preserve them.
Yeah.
And that has to be a special kind of plastic.
Well, it's got Mylar, which is, commercial. Every photograph, when you're photograph.
When it happens.
We don't wear gloves. Easier to carry a document wearing gloves and this.
Okay.
Anytime we're handling photographs or actual objects, we always wear gloves.
Brian, could you
Stop
give us,
playing with that.
Brian, could you give us a rundown of the books, and what they are generally?
Yeah, this is our private library. Most of these come from the original director, John Fowler. He's a Civil War historian.
Yeah,
So when he became the director, he just turned over his entire personal Civil War book collection to us. That makes up the bulk of it, but we also have just, books that were transferred to us from the library itself that are more specific to Northwest Georgia, and they were always they're looking for more storage space as well. So they transferred a lot of regional history books to us. And there's also, things that have been donated to us. We have a collection of church cookbooks, which you might not think that, but
Yeah.
the important thing about church cookbooks isn't necessarily the recipes, but the notes that people wrote inside the cookbook.
Yeah.
Have their name, and I got this, I did this and I didn't like it at all. Or this was great, my family loved this. So that's the value of cookbooks.
In those first 2 pages that tell you who put it together,
Right, yeah.
the women that were leading in the community.
So you take donations of books too?
Oh, yes. Ma'am.
Yeah.
This is another large, this is from the
Maps.
Northwest Georgia Regional Planning Commission. All their 30 years of slides, blueprints, anything about, growth in Northwest Georgia, the roads, all that. They turn that all to us. We'll get to it.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it'll get to it.
Whoa.
We have photographs stored in these cabinets. This is for oversized photographs that will fit in go into larger. Come on, back here. And then we have these drawers are large documents. Things that won't fit in the regular filing cabinet. Back here are all of the document files. This is where I removed the Trail of Tears.
Okay.
Normally the Trail of Tears stuff would be on that next to last shelf there, but took them all there, moved them in there. The collections are on. Here. Excuse me. These are object collections, and they're classified just the same way as documents. They're all given a session number. They're photographed, and the photograph is put into the file and passed over.
Wonderful.
Yes, and we even have the door to the enlisted man's toilet at 404. That somebody found in the basement of their house when they were renovating. And I thought, well, the Bandy Center was the perfect place for them. And we said, you know what? You're right, it is.
They said something about class systems at
Yeah.
that point in time.
Yeah, I mentioned that the door to the office's toilet. was a lot nicer.
Making clear who gets who's what, right?
We have on the card here, there's some artwork. Once again, if it doesn't fit in the regular filing cabinets, we have to create a different area for it.
Right.
We have
Sounds like my house.
we have signs from the local. We had the Black Lives Matter march. In Dalton several years ago.
Documents. Do you have a large format scanner that you use to scan them into your digital
Not at this
collection?
time. Scanner that we have can take up to like 18 by 24 inches. The Bandy Center and the library, we're working with the leadership college to go in together and getting a large document scanner that we can both use. At this time, we don't have anything that for taking large documents.
So Brian, Whitfield County has one, so if you need something.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, we have what's holding us back with having that scan we have. We have a lot of the yard law. So you know, there's a listing for these and a description of them in Past Perfect, but we can't scan the photograph to go with it. So hopefully, when we do have a large scanner, we can get these large photographs and add them to it. But yeah, like I say, you can still find a description of these on Past Perfect.
That would be great if you could partner with Whitfield County to do the larger format. I have one other question. Do you have a backup database somewhere that when you scan all of these, it is secondary backed up in case of loss?
Every week, every Thursday afternoon, I do a backup of everything that's been scanned into Past Perfect for that week. So we have, once we get the software for Past Perfect, and we get that installed, we can just plug that in, and that'll be saved in another site on Past Perfect, so that if something happens here, you just go to Past Perfect and find everything. Yeah, we have multiple backups for everything we have in our collection.
Excellent, and they're like spread out, not close to this building, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we're wanting to get a consolidated storage area that's not on campus, because living in this area, you always have to think about, what if a tornado came through and hit the library and destroyed our collection? I mean, sure, destroying a bunch of paper is secondary to any lives that might be lost, but if it's here, but if our storage is off campus on the north side of town, well, everything is safe there. Conversely, if it's on the north side of town, anything that's here is safe. So yeah, ideally the off-campus storage will be close enough that I can just run over there when I need to, but far enough away that any major natural disaster type situation would not impact both places. But that's my dream. The last thing to show this here in the archive, it was 10,000 creative arts guild photographs.
Oh my God.
All of these boxes have photographs that are not identified. And we also city directories, high school and middle school yearbooks, archive, trade publications, telephone books. People think, why would you keep a telephone book? Well, if you get a telephone book from Dalton or Calhoun or something from 1973, it's going to tell you everything you need to know about that city.
Every dry cleaner,
everything. And that's why, yeah, if you have an old phone book, don't throw it away. Give it to us. And what we also want to stress people, a lot of people think that since we're here in Dalton and we're the college, that we're just the Dalton Museum. No, we are a regional archive. We need items. Obviously, we're Dalton centric. That's where most of our donors live, but we need more things from Chattooga County. We need more things from Dade County. We need more from Gordon County. Kind of balance things out. We're not the Dalton Museum. We're the Bandy Heritage Center for Northwest Georgia. And if there are no more questions, we can go back in and y'all can start your meeting.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah.
While I sat here.
Do you want me to continue to record as you go through the business meeting, or do we want to end it? End it here? Okay. Did you want to say something real quick and then I'll stop the recording?
We'll finish out our presentation today. We're gonna have a short business meeting. But we thank everybody for attending the Trail Tours meeting today, and hope that you'll join us again in May.